Good day everyone. So Alhijan Mariales, together with Leo Anthony Mendoza and Christopher Quijano are going to discuss the Presidential Decree number 1096. So what is Presidential Decree 1096? Ang PD 1096 pala ay ang National Building Code ng Pilipinas. At kapag sinabi natin code, ito yung mga set of rules, mga pinagsama-samang batas o alituntunin para sa pagbubuo o pagpapatayo ng iba't ibang klase ng infrastruktura. Its main goals are to keep people safe, healthy, and to ensure na tama at maayos yung building na ipapatayo natin. Ngayon, dumako naman tayo sa history ng batas na ito. Bago pala ang PD 1096, mayroon na pala tayong batas na an Act to Ordain and Institute a National Building Code of the Philippines o ang Republic Act No. 6541 noong 1972. Noong 1977 naman, nilagdaan naman ni former President Ferdinand E. Marcos Sr. yung PD 1096 sa kadahilan ng kailangan daw ng update and para mabago and mas mapalawak pa yung sakop nito. Noong 2004 naman, nag-propose ang Kongreso ng amendment para sa nasabing batas na to to improve safety standard, accessibility, and environmental consideration. Dagdag pa rito, dahil nga sa pagbago ng panahon at naging mas high-tech and advanced na tayo sa construction, nagkaroon ng ilang pagbabago sa PD 1096. So after a year, which is 2005, na-approve nga yung revision. And tinawag ito the Revised Implementing Rules and Regulation of the National Building Code of the Philippines. Next, Presidential Decree number 1096, adopting a National Building Code of the Philippines, thereby revising Republic Act number 6541. Sinasabi dito na dahil sa economic development and physical development ng bansa, kinakailangan na magkaroon tayo ng building code na kung saan is mas nakaayon sa makabagong panahon. Pangalawa, na ang Republic Act No. 6541 ay hindi na naka-align sa development goal and infrastructure program ng bansa. And since naging modern na nga tayo and nagkaroon tayo ng tinatawag na technological advancement, hindi na naayon or hindi na sapat yung batas na RA 6541. Whereas, in the formation of new national building code, kinakailangan ng mga expert and professional, not only in the public, but also in the private sector, para magkaroon tayo ng building criteria na napagkakasunduan ng lahat. So, ang PD 1096 is binubuo ng 21 chapters. So, una na nga dito, yung tinatawag nating provision. So, Section 1, naka-indicate dito yung title ng Presidential Decree, which known as the National Building Code of the Philippines. Section 102, it is stated that the policy of the state is to make sure that the life, health, property, and welfare of the people and environment is safe. And this code is for building and infrastructure na kung saan nakasaad yung mga standard and requirements such as the location, material, design, and occupancy na dapat isaalang-alang kapag nagpapatayo tayo ng mga buildings. Section 103, the scope and application. So, sinasabi lang dito na ang lahat ng nakasaad sa code na to is from design, construction, alteration to demolition is applicable sa public and private structures, except sa traditional indigenous family dwelling. So, kapag sinabing kasi natin dwelling, tumitukoy ito sa mga tirahan. So, kaya kahit na may mga batas tayo, ginagalang pa rin ng batas natin yung tradition and culture ng mga indigenous people. Sinasabi rin dito na lahat ng mga buildings and infrastructures bago mapirmahan yung PD 1096 is exempted sa code na to. Pero once na may alteration like nagpa-renovate or nagpaayos ng bahay, dito pala nagkakaroon ng visa yung PD 1096. Next, Section 104, General Building Requirement. It says that all buildings shall conform to the code for safety construction and gagamitin lang to sa purpose ng design and ng building. And for example, kung yung building is for production, dapat sa alang-alang daw yung safety na environment and then yung mga nakapalibot dito. And lahat ng building and facilities dapat na maintain nila yung kaligtasan, kalinisan, and dapat functional siya. Sa Section 105 naman, dapat ang lugar kung saan itatayo yung building or infrastructure is sanitary, hygienic, or safe. Dapat free din daw ito sa mga pollution as well as sa mga lugar na maaaring magkaroon ng sakuna. Halimbawa nga dito, volcano, tapos pag malapit sa mga dagat. So, hindi nga naman tayo magkapatayo ng malapit sa mga bulkan, ganun, di ba? Kasi nga, pag pumutok to, magkakaroon ng hazard or danger sa mga tao. So, katulad din sa ilog, siyempre hindi man tayo magtatayo ng mga building malapit sa ilog kung saan madalas umaapaw yun. So, sa madaling salita, kapag magtatayo tayo ng building, it should be free from danger or hazard. Section 106, definition. So, dito naka-indicate lang lahat ng mga related terms and phrases together with their meaning for better understanding. So, example nga dito is addition, which means increases the height or floor area. So, hindi natin siya isa-isahin kasi nga masyadong marami ito. Next chapter, chapter 2, administration and enforcement. Section 201. Tinutukoy lang dito na yung administration and enforcement ng batas is nasa kamay ng secretary. So, yung tinutukoy dito ng secretary is the Secretary of Public Works, Transportation, and Communication. Or sa ngayon, mas kilala na to as DPWH or yung Department of Public Works and Highway. It's their responsibility to look if may violation ba sa construction na ito or it is also in their hand kung ano yun ipapataw na penalty if mayroon man na violate sa code na to. Section 202. Sinasabi dito na the secretary is empowered to choose technical staff of a skilled architect, engineer, and technician within the department. So, sinasabi lang dito na may kapangyarihan daw yung secretary na siya mismo ay mamili ng kanyang mga staff. So, next, section 203. General powers and function of the secretary under this code. The secretary should formulate policies, plans, and standard and guidelines in accordance with this code. So, 2, sinasabi dito na once nakapag-formulate daw siya ng policies and guidelines, dapat mag-issue rin siya ng mga specific rules and regulation when implementing. So, in this case, na-ensure natin yung consistency ng guidelines. Number 3, as a secretary, it is also his or her job to evaluate, review, or approve if may nais na baguhin sa code na to. So, nasa kamay niya, if sa tingin niya is need ng pagbabago o hindi mula sa code na to. Number 4, as a secretary, siya rin dapat yung nag-set ng fees like permit and inspection. Next is section 204, professional and technical assistance. Sinasabi lang dito na those technical staff na binuo mismo ng secretary shall provide different services including professional, technical service, and testing laboratories and facilities. So, next, section 205, building official. So, dito sa building official, sila daw in charge ng pag-implement ng rules. So, if ever na walang building official dun daw sa lugar, and kinakailangan na daw is yung secretary daw yung mag-appoint dun sa ng current engineer dun sa mismong municipalities na wala pang building official. So, yung napili daw ni secretary is mag-i-stay doon sa lugar na yon until may ipapalit na silang building official doon sa lugar. Section 206. So, sino ba ang maaari maging building official? Nakasaad dito na una, dapat you are Filipino with good moral. So, dapat may linis yung pangalan mo. Pangalawa, dapat you are registered civil engineer or architect. So, itong mga professions lang pala na to, yung mga pwedeng may talaga as building official. Third, is you must be member of organized professional organization such as PICE or United Architect of the Philippines for at least 2 years. And lastly, you should have 5 years experience in your profession. Next, section 207. As a building official, may kakaibat yan ng mga duties such as being responsible in enforcement of the code and implementing rules and regulation. Sa kanya din daw mga galing yung mga building permits. So, trabaho niya rin daw na mag-inspect na existing building with their respective area. And may kapangyarihan din daw sila na ipatigil yun isang construction if hindi daw siya naayon sa PD 1096. Section 208. Building officials shall keep a permanent record and accurate account of all fees and other charges. and he or she can keep 20% of his or her office while the 80% is dapat niya daw i-remit sa municipal treasurer na ibibigay naman ng municipal treasurer sa general fund of either province or the mismong municipality. Next, Section 209. Sabi nga, lahat ng bagay is my exception. So, Section 209 is stated that all public buildings such as public school and hospital as well as traditional indigenous family dwelling is exempted sa pagbabayad ng building permit. Ni-specify rin dito na yung mga indigenous people should be constructed using bamboo, nipa, lumber, and dapat pumapatak lang daw ng 15,000 or less yung gas nila sa pagpapatayo ng bahay. Na to. Section 210. So, yung na-collect daw na makita from Office of Building Official is maaari daw kunin ng secretary yung 20% dito para mapalitan or mabayaran yung mga expenses niya such as operating and travel expenses, facilities and equipment, and others. And these expenses must comply with budgetary and auditing rules. Section 211. Sabi nga kanina, one of the duties of secretary is to formulate and implement rules and regulation. And nag-take effect lang daw ito after their publication once a week for 3 consecutive weeks in the newspaper. Section 212. Although yung secretary is siya yung magde-decide ng bayad if may nabayad sa rules, hindi daw dapat tataas ng 10k pesos yung fine dito. Next, 213 or penal provision. So ano ba muna yung pinagkaiba nito sa administrative fines? So when we say administrative fines kasi, tumutukoy ito sa action and process or yung responsibility of a person as a part of activities or the management. So it does not directly affect the public people. Some of the administrative fines includes failure to submit documents on time, or late or hindi pag-submit ng records or report na hinihingi ni building official. While penal provision is a violation directly affected the people or the safety of the buildings. For example, paggamit ng mga substandard na material or hindi paglalagay ng maayos na sprinkler system and fire exits, or pag-demolish na wala namang mga permit. If nangyari ito, maaari daw magbayad ng at most 20,000 yung violators or makulong na hindi higit sa 2 taon or both. So, pwede siya magbayad at makukulong. Then, kapag daw sinabi dito na foreign yung nag-violator, so pagbabayarin daw siya or ikukulong siya, then after mapagbayaran yun is, tsaka naman siya i-deport. Next, Section 214. Dito, dinidefine lang kung ano ba yung mga may naturing na dangerous building, such as building na di maayos or delikado yung mga ginamit na material, and mga building na malapit sa fire hazard or mga building na nagdudulot ng pollution sa environment, such as factory na mausok or naglalabas ng mga chemical waste na nakaka-apekto mismo sa health and safety ng public. Next, Section 215. Abatement of dangerous building. Sinasabi dito na if there is a dangerous or ruinous building, magbababa daw ng order yung building official sa lugar, which is either ipapa-repair, i-abandon, or ipapa-demolish, depende daw kung gaano kalalay yung sitwasyon ng lugar. Section 216, Other Remedies. Sinasabi lang dito na rights and remedies sa PD 1096 is not exclusive sa code lang na to. So, ibig sabihin, ito daw, code na to is nag-coexist with other law. Halimbawa, kapag may nagtayo sa inyo ng building and nalaman mong walang permit, or hindi maayos yung pagkagawa, so maaaring ikaw mismo yung magsumbong sa otoridad. Dahil kapakanan nyo ngayon nakakataya dito. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang siya under ng national code, kundi naapektuhan din dito yung human rights mo. So, dumako naman tayo sa chapter 3, which is permits and inspection. So, ano ba nilalaman nito? So, una, section 301, building permit. So, specific naman dito na sinabi na no building shall erect, construct, alter, or demolish without obtaining building permit from building official from that place. So, 302, application of permit. So, paano ba tayo makakuha ng permit? Una, description of work. So, sasabihin mo lang dito kung anong klaseng work or project ba yung gagawin. Magtatayo ba tayo ng building or magdidemolish tayo ng building? Yung building ba na itatayo is for residential or for industrial? Bungalow ba to? Second floor? Third floor? or ilang floor ba to. So, kinakailangan ditong malaman para alam natin kung anong safety standard ba yung dapat nating ma-meet para safety and welfare ng public. Number 2, dapat may original copy din ng TCT or yung Transfer Certificate of Title. Or if hindi naman sa'yo yung lupa, pwede ka naman daw mag-provide ng contract of lease o na nagpapatunay na eligible ka na you are legal na magpatayo ng building doon sa lugar. Number 3, so dapat dito, sasabihin mo lang ba kung ano ba yung purpose ng building. So, yung building mo ba yon is pang restaurant ba siya, o pang clinic ba siya, or baka naman pang apartment. So, number 4, as an applicant, you also need to provide the estimated cost. So, bakit ba natin kailangan i-provide yung estimated cost? So, nagpa-provide tayo ng estimated cost para malaman kung ilan yung i-incurred nating bayad sa permit. And also, para malaman din natin if capable ba na matapos yung building na ipapatayo with respect to financial matters. In addition, ni-require din na magbigay ng 5 copies ng plans and specification with signature of different professional with respect to their expertise. So, sinasabi lang dito na kapag nagbigay ka daw ng electrical plan, kailangan may firma ng electrical engineering. Next, Section 303. Processing of building permit. So, sinasabi dito na pagmamalakad ng building permit is responsibility ni building official. Siya yung nag-inspect kung approve ba yung mga requirements na pinasa mo or kung may error ba doon. Kasi kung may error, hindi ka mabibigyan nun. Or ibig sabihin, bibigyan ka ng pagkakataon na ayusin mo yon. Next, Section 304. Once na nasatisfy na yung mga requirements and wala naman na-violate na code, so maaari na tayo ngayong bigyan ng permit. So, once na-settled na lahat and nakapagbayad na si permittee, so, pwede nang ibigay sa kanya yung permit and pwede na siya mag-construct. So, binanggit din dito na kung ano lang yung in-issue doon is dapat yun lang yung gawin. So, kung first floor lang naman yung binigay na plan, so dapat na makita is first floor. So, dapat hindi ka magdalagdag ng iba pang floor. Kasi nga, violation na kagad yun sa code. So, pwede na yun ipatigil. Kasi nga, wala naman yun sa original mong binigay eh. So, next. Section 305. So, sa section na ito, nakapalo dito yung limitation and condition once na nakuha natin yung building permit. So, sinasabi nga rito na permit does not allow you to violate the code. So, yung permit, isinaalaw lang tayo para mapagtayo ng bahay at hindi tayo naalaw para ma-accept sa batas. Sinasabi rin dito na once na may flaws sa approved plans na di nakita nun and against yun sa code is ipapaayos ni building official yon. And if hindi naman pumayag si permittee, pwedeng ipatigil ni building official yun pagka-construct ng building. Nakalagay din dito yung validity ng permit. So, sinasabi dito na mag-expire daw yung permit if di pa rin nagsimula yung project within a year. And if ever naman na natigil yon ng 120 days, dapat kumuulit ng permit para magpatuloy yung project. Next, Section 306. So, dito naman nakapaloob kung bakit hindi nabibigyan o nagkakaroon ng suspension dun sa permit. Una na nga rito, if may nakitang error dun sa plan, any specification. So, for example nga, is may kulang ka na ipasa or baka naman mayroong missing data na nakaligtaan ipasa sa building official. Next, if may error or inaccurate yung data na pinasa sa building official. And lastly, if may na-violate daw na standard within the code. It can be about the building or the safety ng public. Next, Section 307, Appeal. So, if ever daw na hindi na-approve yung issuance ng permit, so si permitted daw is pwede daw mag-appeal within 15 days sa secretary and after may ibigay yung notice. So, dito, re-reviewin daw ni secretary yon. So, siya magdi-decide kung okay ba or hindi talaga okay yung project na ipapagawa. Section 308, Inspection and Supervision of Work. Sinasabi dito na dapat may licensed civil engineer or architect na mag-inspect dun sa nasabing building na ipapagawa para malaman if sumusunod daw ba sila sa building code. So, maaari daw kung sino yung engineer or architect na nag-design ng bahay, siya din daw yung mag-inspect dun sa building. And in case na ibang professional yung kinuha, is may karapatan pa rin daw yung engineer or architect na mag-design ng bahay to check and inspect if naka-align pa rin ba yung design niya and pasok pa rin ba sa safety standard yung project. Siyempre, may responsibility pa rin naman si engineer na nag-design kasi nga andun pa rin naman yung pirma niya. Dapat maroon din daw logbook sa construction site, which is nakalagay lahat dito yung mga kaganapan doon sa site. Like, mayroon bang ginawang lab testing? Ano ba yung mga progress na nangyari sa araw na yun? And yung weather sa araw na yun? And etc. After finishing the construction, yung inspector daw or yung supervisor is nire-required na ipass yung logbook to the building official. And also, need daw mag-submit ng certificate of completion na nagpapatunay na tapos na daw yung building and walang na-violate na code habang ginagawa at hanggang matapos yung building. Section 309, Certificate of Occupancy. Sinasabi dito na hanggang wala daw Certificate of Occupancy is hindi daw pwedeng magamit yung building. So after mag-submit na Certificate of Completion and final inspection of the building, so maaari na mag-issue si building official ng Certificate of Occupancy kung maayos naman daw yung lahat. Sa final inspection, tinitignan dito kung pasok ba sa safety standard yung mga ginamit na materials and if yung building ba is safe bang tirhan. If ever daw na may na-violate daw sa code na to according sa section 306 is hindi daw ma-issue sa'yo yung Certificate of Occupancy. So, wala ka talagang taka. So, hindi mo pwedeng baguhin kung ano yung nakalagay sa plan. Pero like, building permit, pwede rin daw siyang i-appeal in accordance to section 307. Ngayon, dumako naman tayo sa chapter 4, which is types of construction. So, there are types of construction according to section 401. So, type 1, building shall be of wood construction. So, dapat gawa daw to sa kahoy. Type 2, it is also wood construction with protective fire resistance materials na kayang tumagal ng 1 hour sa sunog. Kapag gumamit naman daw ng hollow block and semento, pasok naman siya sa type 3. So, provided daw na yung ginagamit na pambubong or support is gawa pa rin sa kahoy. Type 4. Sinasabi rito na yung building material na ginamit is steel and concrete na. So, it should be incombustible or hindi dapat siya nasusunog. Except the permanent non-bearing partition may use fire retardant wood. Type 5. Building shall be fire resistive. So, lahat daw dapat ng material is incombustible na. So, wala na daw dapat kahoy na ginagamit. Section 402. Changes in types. So, if gusto daw magpalit ni owner ng type ng building, dapat mag-propose siya kay public official showing na it is less hazard than the existing one. Section 403, Requirements on Type of Construction. So, sinasabi lang dito na each type of construction is may sinusunod tayong safety standard and regulation. And itong mga requirements na to is maatake natin sa mga susunod na chapter. Chapter 5, Requirements for Fire Zone. Section 501, Fire Zone Defined. So, as it is stated, fire zones are areas within which only certain type of building are permitted to be constructed based on their use or occupancy, type of construction, and resistance to fire. Section 502, buildings located in more than one fire zone. So, if ever down a building is located more than one fire zone, which is at least 1/3 down nung floor area ng building, the building is considered in highly restrictive fire zone, which is mas higpitan nila yung standard ng building in terms of fire resistance. Next, section 503, move building. Any building or structure moved within or into a fire zone shall be made to comply with all the requirements for building in the fire zone. So, if ever na maglilipad tayo ng building sa mismong fire zone, is dapat na-meet niya yung mga safety standard na ni-required doon sa fire zone mismo na paglilipatan. Section 504, those temporary buildings such as shed or yung mga barracks is ina-allow daw na itayo within the fire zone with special permit within a period of time. And kapag daw nag-end yung validity ng permit is kailangan nilang baklasin yung mga temporary building na to. Section 505, center lines of streets. So alam niyo ba yung white or yellow line na nasa gitna ng kalsada? Yun yung tinatawag na center line. So, kung yung building official daw is nagsabi na kailangan ng 6-meter setback, ngayon, pwede daw gamitin yung center line as reference. So, madalas itong applicable dun sa palengke or kalsada kapag nagtatayo sila ng new building or infrastructure. Next, Section 506, Restriction on Existing Buildings. So, if there are buildings na hindi daw sumunod sa requirements and hindi na-meet yung safety standard within the person, hindi daw pinapayagan na magkaroon ng alteration or changes dun sa building na yon, except A, the building is being demolished. Since hindi naman na siya safe, pinapayagan na i-demolish na yung building na yon. B, if the case is to move the building in safer place. C, binibigyan sila ng 1 year to make minor changes pero dapat hindi daw lalagpas sa 20% ng value ng building yung mga gastos nila, or dapat di rin daw sila magdadagdag ng combustible materials like wood na magkukos pa ng hazard. D, in case daw na may dadagdag na building, kinakailangan daw na separated daw siya with firewalls from the existing building. Then E, if ever naman daw na may natural phenomena like earthquake or bagyo, hinayaan lang daw na ipa-repair yung building na yon. Basta daw, hindi daw lalagpas ulit ng 20% ng value ng building yung mga gastos sa pagre-repair. Next, Section 507, Designation of Fire Zone. So, sinasabi lang dito na Secretary is the responsible sa pag-set ng rules and regulation in different level of fire zone. And kasama dito, dapat may local, physical, and spatial frameworks daw na ibibigay sa bawat municipality and city. Next chapter, Chapter 6, Fire System Requirements in Construction. Section 601, Fire System Rating Defined. As it defines, fire system ratings means the degree to which a material can withstand fire as determined by generally recognized and accepted testing methods. 602, Fire System Time Period Rating. So, dito naman, nakalagay kung gaano katagal yung kakayanin na isang material bago siya tuluyang masunog. And described by R. So, mayroon tayong 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour. Section 603, Fire System Standard. So, sinasabi dito na material should classify according to its fire retardant So, pag sabi natin retardant, from the word retard means to delay or its fire spreading characteristics. Section 604, Fire System Regulations. Like the other chapter, kinakailangan daw ng secretary na mag-promulgate ng rule and regulation sa pagtitest ng mga construction materials from woods, windows, to ceilings para malaman kung ano ba yung mga angkop ng material to meet the safety standard. Next chapter, Chapter 7, Classification and General Requirements of All Buildings by Use or Occupancy. Section 701, Occupancy Classified. So we have 10 classification according to Section 701. First, residential dwelling. Then, dapat no more than 10 people daw yun kaya nitong accommodate. Group B, kapag lumagpas daw ng 10 residents and has multiple rooms or dwelling, it is now classified as Group B, such as apartment and hotels. So, next, Group C. Dito naman kabilang yung mga school and recreation, such as library or gym, yun yung kung saan tayo nag-workout. Then, Group D, institutional. So, it divided into 3. Una, Division 1, includes mental hospital, mga kulungan, rehab, or any building daw na kung saan nire-restrain or kinukulong yung mga tao. Sa Division 2 naman, kabilang dito yung mga nursery for babies and hospitals na kaya mag-accommodate ng more than 5 people. Sa Division 3 naman, so halos same lang naman sila nakalagay. So, ang pinagkaiba lang naman nila is yung Division 2 is need ng further assistance. So, ibig sabihin, like babies and non-ambulatory patients or yung mga patient na nakadepende na lang sa mga tao, hindi na nila kayang pakainin sarili nila or alagaan. Sa Division 3 naman, nursery for children. Ibig sabihin, hindi na sanggol yung mga inaalagaan nila. And as same with ambulatory patient, which means kahit na may nararamdaman sila or may karamdaman sila, is they can still move around. Next is Group 3, Business and Mercantile. Like Group D, nahati ulit to sa tatlo. First, including gasoline station and mga bilihan ng kotse and storage garage na wala daw ginagamit na open piles and welding sa area. Division 2, which includes retail shops, small restaurant, and police and fire station. Division 3, so particular daw ito sa malalaking parking space or garahe like hangars o yung mga garahian na mga aircrafts. Next, Group F or industrial. When we say industrial, so kabilang dito yung iba't ibang uri ng planta. Group G, storage and hazardous. So, nakatito sa 5 division. Unang division is storage for high flammable materials like yun nga gasoline. Division 2, including storage for dry cleaning plants and paint, which is also flammable. Division 3, woodworking and factories. So, kabilang dito yung mga nagtitistes ng mga kahoy, yung gumagawa ng mga wood sculpture, and yung mga nagbebenta ng coco lumber. And any factory, basta any factory na nagpo-produce ng wood dust na prone sa sunog. Division 4, repair garage like, yun na nga, repair garage like mga talyer. And lastly, Division 5, which is specific for aircraft repair hangars. Group H, assembly other than Group 1. So, inahati ito ulit sa tatlong division. Una is assembly building with stage. Number 2, without stage. Number 3, including stage room, amusement park, or anything na hindi covered down ng Division 1 and Division 2. So, Group I. So, sa Group H daw is assembly other than Group 1 and dapat daw is under siya ng kaya niya lang daw occupy is less than 1,000 people. So, pagdating naman sa Group I, kaya niya daw accommodate is more than 1,000 people. Like yun nga, Philippine Arena. Lastly, Group J, accessories. So, ito yung mga building na hindi naman talaga siya kasama doon sa part or hiwalay siya mismo sa building. Like, carport, tool shed, and barn or yung tinatawag nating kamalig. Kasama rin dito sa accessories yung mga bakod na mas mataas daw sa 1.8 meters. And yung mga cell towers and water tanks naman. So yung water tanks dito, hindi ito yung water tanks na sa bahay niyo. Ito yung mga malaking water tank na ginagamit sa community. B, if ever daw na yung mga building is if ever daw na may mga building na hindi nabanggit, pwede daw i-consult to sa DPWH Secretary. And yung Secretary na mismo yung magde-decide kung saang group daw i-include yung building na yun. Section 702. Change in use. If ever na gusto daw magpalit ng use of occupancy, so kinakailangan daw mag-comply sa building officials. And kay building official naman, siya yung mag-approve nung changes na to. Next, Section 703. Mixed occupancy. So may pagkakataon daw na nagkakaroon tayo ng mixed type building. For example, yung building is nahati sa dalawa. Yung unang side is tindahan, then yung other side is tirahan pala. So if ganito daw yung case, ina-approve daw siya as long as each type daw ng building na yon is na-meet niya yung requirements ng safety standard. Then, pinapayagan din daw magkaroon ng mixed occupancy kapag minor accessories lang naman daw yun. So, yung nga kakagaya nga ng mga carports, tool shed, so dapat hindi daw lalagpas ng 10% ng floor area ng building, ng mismong building na nakatayo na. And sa ibang case daw is may separation daw dapat between types of occupancy. So, like firewall or wall partition. Isa tingin naman daw ni building official is hindi sila pwede pagdikitin. Yung dalawang type ng occupancy is ni-require niya na separated na lang yung lugar para sa separated na lang daw yung building para sa safety ng lugar. C, types of occupancy separation. So, sabi dito na each type of occupancy is dapat classify siya into 1R fire resistant occupancy. So, meaning, kaya niya mag-resist ng material from the fire. 2, 2-hour fire system occupancy separation. So, kaya niya tumagal ng 2 oras. 3-hour fire system occupancy separation. So, naka-indicate din dito na dapat yung opening is not greater than 25% of the length of the wall. And also, hindi daw lalaki ng 10 square meter yung openings. So, pagdating naman sa 4-hour fire system occupancy, sinasabi daw dito na dapat yung building is walang opening. And kaya niya daw mag-resist ng 4 hours resistive construction. Section 704, location of the property. Sinasabi rito na if there are more than one building in the same property and una daw nating assumption is separated sila. Pero kapag daw yung combined floor area ng dalawang building is within a limit, so kino-consider natin siya na isa lang, provided na ina-ensure nito yung safety ng lugar. Section 705, allowable floor areas. Sinasabi dito na allowable floor area daw ng isang building is nakadepende sa type ng building. And ang magko-proclaim daw nito is yung secretary ulit ng DPWH. Sinasabi dito na dapat separate building within property is magkahiwalay daw yung pagsukat ng floor area. Section 706, allowable floor area increase. So, binanggit nga rito na sa mga specific instances, ina-allow daw na magpa-extend yung building, provided daw na in-approve siya ni building official. Section 707, maximum height of building. The maximum height of building from floor to ceiling is dapat daw hindi lalagpas ng 3 meter for building na for dwelling. So, ito yung mga tinitirahan ng mga tao. Para naman daw sa mga building na hindi para sa mga tao, hindi tinitirhan ng mga tao, pwede daw to hanggang 6 meters like tower. Section 708, minimum requirements for Group A dwelling. A, dwelling location and lot occupancy. Sinasabi dito na kung yung building mo is located sa corner ng street, is pwede mo i-occupy 90% mismo ng lote. And if nasa gitna naman or napapalibutan siya ng ibang property, pwede mo daw i-occupy yung 80% ng lote mismo. Provided daw na mayroong 2 meter setback from the property line. B, light and ventilation. So, dito may discuss na mamaya sa chapter 8 which is light and ventilation. Sanitation. Sinasabi dito na dapat mayroon daw at least one toilet and also washing and drainage facilities. Foundation. Sinasabi dito na dapat yung pundasyon daw ng building is at least 250 mm thick and dapat below 60 mm from the ground. E, post. So, ito yung poste. So, kapag maglalagay tayo ng poste ng bahay, dapat daw nakaangla siya dun sa mismong pundasyon or yung mismong footings na nilagay. And dapat daw na nakakabit siya by bolts and straps. F, floor. So, malinaw naman na nakasad dito na dapat yung load daw na kayang i-allow is at least 200 kg per square meter para sa first floor and at least 150 kg per square meter naman sa second floor. Roof. Para naman sa roof, dapat daw kaya niya i-withstand yung wind load na 120 kg per square meter. Stairs. Stairs shall be at least 750 millimeters in width, 200 millimeters in rise o yung taas, and a minimum run of 200 millimeters din. I, entrance and exit. There shall be at least one entrance and another one for exit. J, electrical requirements. All electrical installations shall conform to the requirements of the Philippine Electrical Code. So, K, so mechanical requirements, same lang din. Dapat daw naka-align siya sa Philippine Mechanical Engineering Code. Section 709, requirements for other groups occupancies. So, sinasabi lang naman dito na the rules and regulation of minimum requirements of other occupancies aside from dwellings is manggagaling na mismo sa Secretary ng DPWH.